Good morning from the Kalani River. Well, it's about 4 in the morning. I slept for about 3 hours. And I think it's time to hit the road. Nowhere to be found, but I keep looking for it. Out of my sight, but I keep looking for it. There's some benefit to being up at 4 in the morning. Close to Haines Junction. I always like this area, a lot of split rail fence. Just reminds me of the old pioneer days. Not a lot has changed here. I mean, a lot has changed here. I'm sure it's very different than it was back in the 1800s, but they have managed to still keep the charm. More to come from Haines Junction. Oh, here's the welcome to Haines Junction sign. Now the real question, is there a place to get breakfast? 7:30, it is Sunday, but that'll be our next mission, see if there's a place to eat breakfast. We're at the Kalani Park Inn. They advertise breakfast all day. So 7:30 is part of the day. We'll see if they've got breakfast. Well, the Kalani Park Inn was open for hotel reservations, but not for the restaurant. So headed down the street, I saw one other place as we were entering Haines Junction that looked open, and there were multiple cars there. So let's go try the next breakfast place. We are at the Cozy Corner Motel and Restaurant. Let's see if they're open for business. I think they are. The doors open and the open sign is flashing. That was pretty good. It was very fast, very friendly service. A little bit expensive, but we're in the wilderness, the Canadian wilderness. Overall, I give it about 7.5 stars out of 10. Ready to hit the road. In my haste to get cameras set up and hit the highway, I forgot to fuel up. Thanks to the friendly Canadian road signs that reminded me there is no fuel for the next 250 kilometers. I need to turn around and go back to Haines Junction and get some fuel. Fortunately, I'm only about a mile outside of town. Remember, that's Canadian dollars in liters. She's a big SUV, but we did not burn $109 worth of fuel and 54 gallons coming from Anchorage. So we burned 54 liters. Alright, now we're fueled up, both with food and fuel. Cut that audio out, Alita. Now we're fueled up with gas and bacon. Time to hit the road for real this time. No turning around. Haines or bust. We're at Lake Dezadeash in the Yukon Territory. This is a popular spot in the wintertime. A lot of snow machiners from all over the country, and I do believe all over the world, they will come here, and in the winter they host a snow machine race. The lake's 33 miles long, and when it freezes over, they race it. A lot of these snow machines are going well over 100 miles an hour. It's quite a show. I have not been to it, but a lot of my friends from Haines, they go, and I've seen a lot of footage of snow machines losing skis, and it's quite an event. Well, I'm gonna take a walk, try to wake up on my second day of about 2 hours worth of sleep. This hay ranch behind me has significance to my childhood. Growing up, we had a pocket farm. We had a bunch of chickens and ducks and turkeys, geese and goats and different things that all required hay and straw. So my father and I would take the drive from Haines to here about every other week, and we would load our truck up with more hay than it probably should have hauled. But we'd haul it all back and make sure the animals had fresh bedding and good hay to eat. Hello, I am Thomas LeBlanc. Welcome to my travel vlog. Just kidding! If you know, you know. Sorry, cousin Christian. I am the not-so-lost LeBlanc, because explorers are never lost. I'm so bummed. We're coming up to the Haines Pass, and behind me, if it wasn't so cloudy and so rainy, you'd be looking down at hundreds of feet of wonderful nature, but we're fogged out. So anyway, hopefully she clears up and we get to enjoy some of this great view. Definitely some reduced visibility coming up to the Haines Pass. Leaving the Yukon. We are now entering British Columbia. Out there, way too far for my little camera to pick up, is a fine example of a Canadian moose marching his way across the pass. Now you might say, nah mate, that's just a regular moose. But I saw the signs, and it opened up my eyes. It's a Canadian moose. Get some sleep, you nut. Well, the fog did lift. Got a good view of the pass. Have about another 60 miles to go to Haines. Oh! Oh! Look at how fast they cover ground. Bottom of this steep hill is the U.S. and Canadian customs. Probably about a mile away now. Maybe 2. And that is the Canadian customs. This border closes from midnight to 8 a.m. These border patrol stations are really close together. The U.S. station is right around the corner. Here at the Haines border station, Carver Construction actually holds a MATOC contract with the GSA, and so we do all the maintenance and upkeep on all the federal facilities in Southeast Alaska, including border stations. So the roof on the housing behind me, that was put there by Carver Construction. All the electrical systems in the main border patrol building, yep, I've been there, done that, looked at them, looked at all the drawings, and worked with the electricians and the plumbers to get it in. Here we are at the southern border pin this time. We were just at the northern border pin. Once again, standing exactly on the border line. I'm in Canada. I'm in the US. Good to be home. Canada was great and all. Lots of wildlife, lots of beautiful scenery, but nothing beats the good old US of A. Behind me is the historical Dalton Cache. Rumor has it, the border runs right through the center of this building, and that back in the day, outlaws running from US law would come to this building and sit on one side of the room and be in Canada and be able to talk to law enforcement about their criminal activities and maybe beg a little forgiveness and entry back into the US. After all, who doesn't want to be in the US? And that is what it looked like back in the day. Some old logs. Made it back in the good old USA. Didn't have to sit on the other side of the Dalton Cache like a criminal and negotiate my way back into the country. So, small victories. That mountain range to the right is called Porcupine Ridge. On the other side of that mountain range is Parker Schnabel's grandfather's mine, the Big Nugget. Right about where that saddle is, if you were to hike right over that, you'd come down on top of John Schnabel's cabin. This place has some of the biggest cottonwood trees I've seen anywhere. These things grow well over 100 feet tall. They're just so impressive. This little stretch of highway is where I grew up. The 33-mile roadhouse. So we're at 33 Mile in Haines. The field behind me used to be a garden. There was about 2 acres of garden. All of that equipment was a little less rusty when I was 12 years old. And I worked with a man named Lewis Nelson, and really cool old guy. He went through World War II. He helped design the B-12 bomber. Had all kinds of crazy stories of flying over the mountains of China and prototype planes, and he shared a lot of them as we ate lunch of carrots and potatoes we pulled out of the ground. But so many good memories and endless hours of back-breaking labor, because even though that equipment was less rusty, he believed in doing things by hand. You were a good guy. Thanks for helping shape me into the guy I am. Can you imagine a 12-year-old me back there pulling weeds? My very first job that got me introduced to Mr. Nelson was mowing this lawn behind me. And I tell you, it was probably my favorite first job, or it would be my first job, but it was probably my favorite job because they had a riding lawnmower. And man, when you're a 12-year-old kid, you get to drive something like that and get paid to do it. it sure was a lot of fun. Just left the 33-mile roadhouse where ran into Dustin Hurt from the show Gold Rush. So I didn't want to film anything. I'm sure he gets that a lot, and last thing I want to do is be one of those people. So anyhow, that was wicked cool. Everybody has their walk uphill both ways stories when they were kids. Mine is this highway. I had one friend, his name was Nathan Bash, and he lived 6 miles away from me, and I would walk this highway at least once a week, all 6 miles in one direction, to go hang out and spend the afternoon with Nathan, and then I would walk all the way home. I didn't mind it, I had nothing else to do, and the weather in Haines is typically phenomenal, so it was just good times. This particular corner, it's in my dreams a lot. I walk past this all the time on my way to Nathan's because this is his road here on the left. It's called Mosquito Lake Road. Beautiful place. This is the famous Porcupine Crossing on the Discovery Channel show Gold Rush. This is where everybody comes to cross the Klahini River. Beginning of the road that leads out to the historic Dalton Trail. They've got a sign here. See if I can pull up to it. That sign is old. It's been there forever. But if you keep going down this road, it leads you to the Big Nugget Mine. It's about 8 or 9 miles down. I'm not sure the status of the road. Probably not something I want to drive a brand new rig down. Great Chilkat River. Coming up to Southeast Road Builders, a company owned by Roger Schnabel, the father of Parker Schnabel. This is where his parents live. His father's run used to be a logging company out of it, and then he switched to road building. My father's known Roger for, I don't know, my whole life. There it is, right there. Southeast Road Builders. And then we're coming up to Parker's parents' house. And that's it, right up there. Well, there you have it. That's where the Gold Rush Star was born. And that is the Haines Airport. Coming into the town of Haines. This gas station used to be a Delta Western. I used to pump gas there back when it was $1.95 a gallon. When my family first moved to Haines, this big yellow house on the left used to belong to a Southern Baptist minister named Dave Hoffmeister, and he was kind enough to let us stay there for a year after we bought our remote property, and it allowed us to build a house. It's a big house. Downtown Haines. It is the end of the road at the Lighthouse Restaurant Harbor Bar. There's a cruise ship in town today. Just left the ferry terminal. I am number 6 on standby. So the ferry is fully booked, ticketed out, but they have a standby system, so you pay for your ticket in advance. And should people not show up, or the folks on the car deck get pretty creative with how tight they pack the vehicles, they can usually squeeze 3, 4, 5 additional vehicles on board. So the station manager, he said the magic number seems to be about 5. Typically standby number 5 makes it on, everybody else doesn't. I'm standby number 6. If I don't make this one, there is another ferry tomorrow. Today's ferry is the LeConte, and tomorrow's ferry is the Kennecott. So the Kennecott's a much larger ship, so I feel pretty confident about making it on the Kennecott. But hopefully I make it onto this ferry. I think I've slept about 4 or 5 hours since leaving Juneau at 5 a.m. on Friday. So it's been a few days of no sleep, lots of stress, not complaining. It is adventure time. Adventure should be a little bit taxing. If it isn't, you're just on vacation. Here we are in the historical Fort Seward Parade Grounds. This was one of the first U.S. military bases in the state of Alaska. It was put here around 1902 is when they started construction, because, as you can see behind me, there's Lynn Canal. Lynn Canal transported all the gold miners up to the 3 main trailheads to head up into the Yukon. As you can guess, when hundreds of thousands of people come with one thing in mind, and that's to strike it rich, there can be a bit of lawlessness that comes with it. As well as territorial Canadian disputes, there was a reason they needed the Dalton cash, so that outlaws could be on one side and the U.S. law enforcement could be on the other and try to negotiate this out. The fort was their attempt to try to tame this. From 1925 to 1940, this was the only fort in the whole state of Alaska. So these people had a pretty big task. Alaska's a big territory, and there's a lot that happens here. Anyway, You can imagine, I've seen photos of cavalry and straight up, it looks like Civil War era type troops all over this field. Well folks, there you have it. The ferry is leaving. I obviously am not on it. Such a bummer. There were 6 standbys and 4 made it on. Guess we'll have to try tomorrow. LeConte, come back for me. I need you. I want to go home. Note for the editor. This is the same highway I already recorded. The ferry just kicked me off. I don't get to see you lead up. So it's the same highway going backwards. Don't trust the timestamp if it says it came before all the other footage. Love you, Lido. Most beautiful stretches of highway. There's the Chilkat mountain range. I couldn't let a day in the Thomas Takeover end sadly. I didn't get on the ferry. There weren't enough standby places, but hey, these things happen. And I'm not going to get all preachy with lemons and lemonade and all that jazz, but I really do believe every disappointing situation is just opportunity in disguise. And so yes, I didn't get to go home, see my wife and my kids, but that does mean I get to spend another day in this place. And I get to spend another day making videos for you and the grandkids. Hey grandkids! Just kidding. Those are a long ways away. But hey, someday they might be watching this and look where I am. Anyway, it was a little disappointing to not catch the ferry, but look at this. I mean, good grief. Well, this is the place for the night, babe. Dark, kind of spooky.
I wish to be something special. In the end, I wish to be so much better. In the end, I wish to be me.